All right. Good afternoon, all of you. I welcome you all to the chemistry class. And I first would like to ask you if you are able to hear me, see the screen clearly, then please answer this poll. We'll begin. Meanwhile, please answer this poll and also try to make out what's happening on the screen. Try to make out the story, what is happening on the screen. You can post your imagination about the story on the chat. I'll read it. So I can see many of the students here are wishing me good afternoon because they are very used to 3:45 class. It's actually good evening. So good evening, all of you. Yes, Prakriti, it is a story of a water molecule. Good evening, Prashant. Good evening, Ankita. Yeah, you got it almost right. All right, so many responses on the chat. I can assume many of you will be guessing what's happening here. So this is my way of introducing this today's class topic. So meanwhile, others join, you can take a shot at it, right? Very good evening, Srinidhi. Good evening, Hita. So I'll discuss it. Meanwhile, you can take on your guesses. Khushi, yes. Why not? Good evening, Samruddha. Samruddha, I hope your wishes are not inspired by someone. All right, so let's start today's class. All right, so Pranav, world is a source of information. You need to grab it. Right. So good evening, all of you. There are many of you who might be attending their first class. Kindly raise your hands if you are attending your first class today, right? So kindly raise your hands if you are attending your first class today, right? So yeah, my name is Nishikant. I'll be henceforth taking your chemistry classes. So as we go ahead in this course, basically every chapter we will cover from all the aspects, whether it is your boards. Shreyas, we are starting a new chapter, whether it is your boards, whether it is your competitive exams. We'll go all of them parallelly. So we'll make sure you don't miss out on any of the exams, right? So my class in general will begin with a kind of an introduction of the topic and the examination importance of that topic. All right, so I hope all of you have joined here. So I can see many of you are still replying on this. So let's end the story here and let's try to answer this out. So we can see boiled water is resting in peace here. So the liquid water is worried about him. He didn't knew what happened to his brother. He just didn't knew what happened to his brother, right? So in order to know that, he started cousin. What happened to my brother? Do you know about it? So both of them were clueless. They came to me. And when they came to me, guess what would be my answer? Ramesh, you can see here, boiled water is a brother of H2O liquid, right? Because they are present in different forms. They might be twins, right? So the question is, what would be my answer? What has happened to his brother? Your brother has taken a long route. It has solidified. So yes, your brother has solidified, he has frozen out, he is dead, right? So that's what my answer was. Why I chose this? Because this is our topic today. We are going to talk about solid state, right? And what are the properties of solid state, right? So I can still see many of you are still answering this story. So I said, yes, your brother has been solidified, he has frozen out, he's dead, right? That was my answer to him, right? So before we begin, students, I want to set few things very clear. I would like to say, yes, Bharat, it is a second PU session. Yes, Sanju, I'll tell you all that. So in this session, we are attending online. There are some barriers in the online classes. There are some advantages as well. So the most important thing is we are not in physical appearance to each other. We are not seeing each other basically. So for that, at any point of time, you face any doubts, any difficulties, you can see a lot of options on your screen. Go slower, go faster. And then you can message on the chat as well. And then we also have Ashutosh sir here among us. If you face any doubts, you can message me or Ashutosh sir. We'll definitely clear your doubts, right? So this is a nice one, Shreyas. I like that. So this is a format we are going to go ahead. So Kiran, voice might be breaking due to your internet instability, right? So without delaying much, let's start with our today's topic. So we are going to start with solid state. So students, the solid state chapter which you have in your syllabus is the first chapter of the syllabus. And what is its importance from different examination point of view, right? All right, Keithan, I'll do that. So you can see, if you consider JEE main exam, every year you'll get one question from it, right? What are the topics where you get question from it? I'll keep telling you throughout the chapter, right? Then if you see the NEET exam, there is one question every year from this chapter in NEET also. In some years, there have been two questions from this chapter in NEET. There have been years like that. Now coming to the most important second PUC examination. If you check the weightage of this chapter in second PU examination, you get two questions every year from this chapter. What are those two questions from? Total, it carries 7 marks. Usually you get one 2-mark question, one 5-mark question. But chemistry, there is an irony in PUC board exam that the question which you get for 5 marks are not totally 5 marks. They are usually split into 3 marks plus 2 marks, or sometimes 4 marks plus 1 mark. So never think like you'll get a total 5-mark question. So 1 markers are also important. 3 markers are also important. Throughout the course of the chapter, I'll keep telling you which question is important for 3 mark, which is important for 2 marks, right? Okay, so Rohit, if you have recently installed the app, Rohit, as soon as you log in, I'll write here for those who are logging in, join audio using device, join audio of device, right? Join audio of device. You'll see this option. Please click on this option. Once you do that, you'll be able to join in, right? For those who are joining for the first time. So Krishna and Pratham, if you talk about CET point of view, from the CET point of view, every year, there are 3 questions at least from this chapter, right? What questions come in CET? That also I'll let you know when I consider this chapter ahead, right? So 3 questions, bare minimum I'm talking about. Some years it has been 4 also, right? So Rohit, I hope you are able to hear now. Rohit M, I hope you are able to hear now. All right. So if, as I said, we are going to start the chapter, there may be many instances where you might not be able to follow. Please directly message me or Ashutosh sir will help you out, right? Be as responsive as possible. Otherwise, it's an online session. You might not be able to, get it clearly, right? Now, my class, as I said, will begin with introduction of the topic, examination analysis of that topic, and Pratiksha, yes, don't worry about it, Pratiksha. Trust me. So I will take on the topic. Last 5 minutes, I'll have some quiz over here, which might be on any random topic, right? So if you are willing, you can participate. I would like if you participate in that. All right. So let's start with today's class without much delay, right? And if you face any difficulties in between, please feel free to ask, right? We'll be happy to help you out, right? Okay. So some of you have asked here which books you should refer. So let me write, let me write every year wise. If you talk about KCET exam, you can refer MTG/Dinesh books. They are good. If you talk about JEE main exam, you can refer Cengage JEE main book. That is good, right? If you talk about NEET exam, you can refer MTG books or Disha books. They are good. But remember, do not forget to refer our modules first. They are more important, right? All right. So Maharashtra CET also, there are books of Dinesh and MTG which will help you out. Don't worry about it. Maharashtra CET also it will help you out. Now coming back to second PUC, I will say refer my notes plus Sunstar publication previous year questions. If you are doing this, let me tell you, you don't need to do anything else. These are sufficient enough to take you through all the concepts which you require. Ankita, you can do that also. That is also fine. But I prefer these books because these are more standard ones. The book which you are referring goes slightly above CET and not even reaches JEE main. So to be honest, the books which I have mentioned here are exactly at the right level. Vismay, you can refer Arihant also, that's fine. You can refer any book. These are the books which I prefer, right? It doesn't mean you cannot refer any other book, right? Yes, Vijay, that's why I have written it with boards, right? Kiran, if you want chapter wise, you can refer Jivit. Jivit is chapter wise, right? You can refer that for PUC board. All right. So now I'm starting with the chapter called solid state today, right? I'm starting with the chapter called solid state today. So the most important part in this chapter is you have already studied states of matter. You have studied namely the following states of matter, that is solid state, liquid state, and gaseous state. You have studied about these states, right? Now, in this gaseous state, you have already studied in a chapter called states of matter. Liquid state, you will study in second chapter of second PUC. Solid state, you'll study in first chapter of second PUC, which we are starting today. All right. Now let me tell you one more important thing before we start this chapter. That is the imagination power. Today's class is the basic one. So we don't need to apply a lot of brain. It's an easy one. As we go ahead in this chapter, lot of imagination is required, right? So I will help you out with that, but you need to make sure you keep your 100% in, right? All right. So Banshri, we are starting with a chapter called solid state. So any state of matter, students, is defined by two forces. If you take two particles are attracted to each other by intermolecular force. So intermolecular force is attractive in nature, right? So intermolecular force is the attractive force, right? And at room temperature, they will all have some energy. So thermal energy will make the molecules move randomly. So they go in opposite direction, right? So intermolecular force hold the particles together, whereas thermal energy separates it out, right? So for solid state, intermolecular force is very, very much larger than thermal energy. That means the force of attraction among the molecules is very, very, very strong. This is what you have studied in class, wherever you studied states like 8th and 9th, right? All right. So now, if you see this, let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. Yes. Now, what are the characteristics, properties of solid state? Students, don't worry about your notes. Don't worry about your notes. Your notes will be uploaded on your Google Drive. You can download the same notes from there. If you want for now, you can take screenshots, right? If you can write in a short span of time, that is also good. But whatever I have taken the notes here, we have taken the notes here, belongs to textbooks. So do not worry about it. Everything in the textbook is covered here, right? So characteristic properties of solid. Many of you will be already knowing this, right? Let us still summarize it. They have definite mass, definite volume, and definite shape. So solids have definite shape, they have definite volume, and they have definite mass, right? Whereas gases do not have definite shape or definite volume. When you talk about liquids, they have definite volume, but not the definite shape, right? Do not worry about it, guys. Today's class, whatever we are doing, is a basic class, introductory class. So there will not be too many concepts here, just the basic introduction here. So do not worry. From tomorrow's class, we'll start taking problems of boards as well as JEE as well as NEET. Do not worry about it at all, right? Jagdish, you can do that. But I have summarized the, Jagdish, that would be most ideal thing, right? Now see here, the intermolecular distances are short. What is the meaning of this? If you take two solid particles, the distance between two particles is very small. Why the distance between two particles is very small? Why it is very small? Because intermolecular force is very high. Because of very high intermolecular force, right? Right? So intermolecular force is very, very high, right? So now intermolecular forces are strong, therefore the distance between them is very, very small. Now, if you talk about how a solid is made up of, their constituent particles are atoms, molecules, or ions. Solid can be made up of atoms. I'll give you the example. If you take I2, I2 is a solid made up of two iodine atoms. If you take NaCl, NaCl is a solid made up of ions called Na plus and Cl minus, right? So in such case, it is called, and you can take graphite. Graphite is also made up of carbon-carbon structure, right? Now, yes, Abhishek H, I'll definitely do that. Don't worry about it. Leave it up to me. Trust me, I'll do that, right? Now, the next point and the last point here is solids cannot be compressed. They are incompressible. They are incompressible. Why they are incompressible? Because the two particles are held together by strong force, right? There is no gap between the two particles so that you can compress them. If there is some gap between two particles, then you can compress these two particles. But since solids do not have any gap between them due to strong intermolecular force, you cannot compress them because there is no gap between particles, right? So why they are incompressible? Because there are no gap among the particles. Vismay, you are very much right. Sanju, you are also right. Let me come to that. We are going to the classification of solids. It will become more clear there. All right. Anyone having any doubt in the properties of solid? I think there is a basic. If you still have any doubt, you can ask. Fourth point. So fourth point says solid is made up of constituent particles. What are the particles from which solid can be made? Atoms. It can be made up of atoms. It can be made up of molecules. It can be made up of ions. Any of these, right? If they have fixed position, right? If they have fixed position, their position should not change. Why their position should not change? Because of strong force between them. So they cannot move. If you heat them also, they will not move. They will just vibrate. If you heat them, they will vibrate, but they will not move, right? That is the meaning of this, right? So example I had given you, if you repeat carbon, carbon again and again, you'll get diamond or graphite. So they are also solid, right? Made up of carbon atom. If you repeat I2 again and again, you will get solid crystals of iodine. And if you take ions like Na plus and Cl minus, it will form sodium chloride ions, right? Right. Now, why solid have fixed mass, volume, and shape? Because of their density, right? Their density is almost constant. That's the reason their density does not change usually, solids, right? Until unless there is a defect in it, its density do not change. Therefore, the ratio of mass and volume do not change much, right? When you heat it, it will melt. Why it will melt? Because the strong intermolecular forces will become weak, right? So the bond will break and the molecules will move apart when you supply a lot of temperature. But at a normal temperature, when you supply, it will just heat, right? When you melt also, it will not randomly start moving. It will become viscous liquid, right? Very good, Charan. You're almost right. Now I hope this thing is clear to everyone. Yes, Harshala, you are 100% right. Now, students, I have a next slide in front of you. What I want you to do is see both the images and tell me what is the difference among these two images you see. This is our first classification of solid. We are seeing how many types of solid are, right? So we have two types of solid based on the basis of how you arrange their particles. Based on how we arrange particles with respect to each other, we classify solid as crystalline solid and amorphous solid. So what is the difference apart from the name that you see in these two compounds? All right, so I have started getting a lot of answers here. So I see people are definitely answering a lot of things here. All right, so yes, all of you are almost there. So this is our first classification, students. Our first classification, as you can see, I'm reading out here, classification on the basis of arrangement of particles with respect to each other. If this particle is here, where is the next particle? Where is the next particle? How you arrange these particles, based on that, we classify them as crystalline solid and amorphous solid. For example, SiO2. SiO2 can exist as, SiO2 is the formula of quartz, right? SiO2 is also the formula of glass. So same formula compound can exist as crystalline solid quartz. It can exist as glass also. Same formula, but different structure, right? That is very important. Same formula, but different structure, right? Now let us see the difference between these two images. You can see here, particles are regularly arranged to form a hexagon, right? I have not drawn a hexagon. Let me draw it again. So they are uniformly arranged to form a hexagon, right? But when you see it here, sometimes you are getting some random shape here, and here you are getting some random shape. There is no regular arrangement of particles, but here you definitely hexagonal arrangement, right? What is the difference between these two? They have regular or definite geometric pattern. They have definite geometric pattern, right? Whereas, yes, Sushmita, I can see. Don't worry, students. I can see all of your chats. It might happen that I might reply late, right? And they do not have definite geometric pattern. They do not have definite geometric pattern. So I hope this point is clear to both of you. Crystalline solids are the solids in which particles are arranged in definite geometric pattern. Amorphous solids are the solids where particles do not have any geometric pattern. That means particles are arranged randomly with respect to each other. So is this difference clear to all of you? If you have any doubt, please raise hands. The difference between the two, if you have any doubt, please raise your hands. Yes, all of you. If you have any doubts in this, please raise hands. Repeat. So Harsh, you can see here that in these particles, in these crystalline solid are the solids where the particles are arranged everywhere to form a hexagon. You get a hexagon here. So definite geometric pattern. See here also. Here also particles are arranged to form hexagon. Here also particles are arranged to form hexagon. So particles are arranged to form hexagon. That means they are following a definite geometry. But you see here, particles are sometimes arranged like this. No shape. Here they are arranged like this. No particular shape. Here they are arranged like this. Again, there is no particular shape. They're randomly arranged, right? So they have random arrangement. They have random arrangement, right? They have random arrangement of particles, right? Yes, Tanmay, this will be uploaded. Don't worry. Right. This chapter is a part of physical chemistry, which is generally most stable. Let me come to that, Karthik. Don't worry. Right? Yes, Gauri. Yes, Gaurish, you are right. Right? Now let's come to the difference between the two solids, which is very important from board's point of view. It is important from board's point of view. Right? You may get a 2-mark question on this. You may get a 2-mark question on this, right? You may, Sushmita, you can ask any of them. Both are working here. Rohan, you can message me. I'll forward you that. Right. Now you can see here what is the difference between crystalline solid and amorphous solids, right? So you can say, how do we differentiate between crystalline and amorphous solid? First point of difference is shape. Second is melting point. Third is how do you cleave them? How do you cut them? Third is heat of fusion. I'll take all of them one by one. All of you please have patience and listen to it. This we have already discussed, shape. Crystalline solids have a definite geometric shape. We have already seen here, hexagon shape here, right? Whereas amorphous solids have irregular shape. They do not have any regular shape. Now talking about melting point, very important. They melt at a particular temperature. For example, if I take benzoic acid, let me take benzoic acid. If I take benzoic acid, I hope you remember the formula of benzoic acid. Benzoic acid melting point is found to be 120 degrees Celsius. That means as soon as the temperature reach 120 degrees Celsius, benzoic acid will start melting. But here, they melt over, you can soften, you can write as melt also, both are fine. They melt over a range of temperature. That means they will not have one particular temperature. Melting will start at 112 degrees Celsius and it will finish at, let's say, 115 degrees Celsius. So there is no fixed melting point in amorphous solid, whereas crystalline solid have fixed melting point, right? Now the cleavage property. What is the meaning of this? If I take a solid, if I take a crystalline solid like this, and I cut it with a knife, right? I'll get two equal shapes, right? Both these shapes will be equal, right? Whereas that means they undergo clean cleavage. When you cut it with knife, both the parts will look identical. Now coming to amorphous solid, when you cut it with knife, it will not have same shape. One of them might look like this, other might look like this. That means they are not undergoing clean cleavage. This is rough cleavage. That means the both parts will not have same shape after cutting, right? So therefore we say they do not undergo clean cleavage when cut with a sharp knife, right? Now heat of fusion. What is fusion? When you convert solid into liquid, that process is called fusion. And to convert solid into liquid, the heat that you supply to melt a solid into liquid, the heat supplied is called heat of fusion. So here we are saying they have a definite heat of fusion. That means if I want to convert 1 mole of solid into 1 mole of liquid, I have to supply how much heat? Let's say 20 kilojoule per mole. But here it is not definite, it is indefinite. That means here I will have to supply somewhere around 20 to 30 kilojoule per mole. That means it is not fixed. So here you can melt a solid into liquid by supplying fixed amount of energy. But here you cannot melt a solid into liquid by supplying fixed amount of energy. You have to supply different energy. Now I will tell you why all this difference arises. Please pay attention. When you take a crystalline solid, students, the first point of difference you have seen, all the particles are arranged in a definite geometric pattern. These are the particles, let us say. Whereas in amorphous solid, particles are sometimes randomly arranged, up, down, wherever they want, they are arranged randomly. So what do you see here? What do you see here? Since the arrangement is symmetric, the force of attraction is same at all point. Is same at all point. Whereas here, the force of attraction will be F, between these two particles F dash, between these two particles F double dash. That means force of attraction is not same at every point. Therefore, to melt here, you have to supply some energy. To melt here, you have to supply different energy. So why you have to supply different energy in amorphous solid? Because force of attraction is different, because arrangement is different. Here force of attraction at every point is same because the arrangement is same. So therefore you have to apply same energy at every point, right? So I hope this thing is clear. Now many of you were giving the example of sponge and other examples also. All of them are examples of amorphous solids, right? All of them are example of amorphous solids. Also remember, amorphous solid is also called, let me write here, pseudo solid. They are also called pseudo solid. What is the meaning of pseudo? They are false, they are fake, they are solid for the namesake. In reality, they are not solid, right? They are false solids. Please keep this in mind. They are pseudo solids. Yes, students, any doubt in any of these points, you can please go ahead and ask. If you have any doubts in any of these, please ask. Karthik, I'll come to that point. Yes, let's move ahead. I don't see any doubt here. And students, please don't hesitate in asking any doubts. Please go ahead, ask whatever doubts you get, but make sure most of them might be answered by me or Ashutosh sir, because we are only 2 people to answer so many doubts, right? Right. Yes, Wish, notes will be given to you. Don't worry about it at all, right? Cleavage property. So Viraj, cleavage only, that is you. The process is called cleavage. So you cut a solid here in crystalline solid, you get identical half. That is called sharp or clean cleavage. Plain and smooth surface you'll get. When you cut it here, you'll get unequal half. That means you'll get irregular surface. You'll get irregular surface, right? That is the meaning of this. Yes, let's go ahead now. Now let's go ahead with the next property. anisotropic, students, I'll take in detail, right? For now, you just remember crystalline solids are anisotropic in nature. Amorphous solids are isotropic in nature. This point itself can be asked for 1 mark in your exam. This one point can also be asked for 1 mark in your exam, right? All right. So if you talk about this, Abhishek, usually crystalline solids are more durable. Now, if you talk about nature, they are true solids. I have already explained you. They are pseudo solids, or also called super cooled liquids. They are also called true solids or super cooled liquids. Now, this is the most important point. The difference between them. Long range order they have, and they have short range order. What is the meaning of this? Right? I'll give you one example. Let us say you have a morning assembly going on over here on a stage, and this is a line of the students, right? So in the first case, the shorter student is there, then a taller, then further taller, then further taller, then even more taller students. So increasing order of height, students are standing. And you have another case of line where sometimes there's a shorter guy, sometimes taller guy, then again shorter guy, then again taller guy, then again shorter, randomly. Right? Now my question is, Naren, I'll answer that. My question is, if I ask you, predict the height of the fourth student, predict the height of a fourth student in a line, in which case you can answer that easily, in first case or in second case. If I ask you, come on, tell me the height of the fourth student, how many meters or how many feet? So which case you can answer it easily? I think all of you have answered it correctly. It is the first case. Why first case? Because you can say that they are arranged in increasing order. So if the first is 1 meter, second meter, 3 meter, 4 meter. So you can say, if you know the first student height, you can predict the fifth student height. That means this is called long range order. This is called long range order. That means properties shows similar distribution. Properties show similar distribution for long range. Whereas here, for this range, it is increasing. Then this range, it is decreasing, increasing, decreasing, increasing, decreasing. There is no regular trend. Sometimes it is increasing, sometimes it is decreasing. So the trend is limited to a shorter range. It is repeating after small range, and it is repeating after a long range, right? So this is what it means. All right, Saniha, what I was saying here was that the particles here have long range order. That means the particles in the first, and if you arrange the particles in increasing order of height, and then second case you arrange them randomly. So first case, the particles are arranged increasing order, so you can easily predict the height of the fourth student. But here you cannot predict the height of the fourth student because the particles are randomly arranged. You do not know first particle is longer, then second is shorter, then again longer, shorter. You don't know the order. So therefore we say there is no order, or the order is very short range, right? And here it is long range order. Long range means the repetition is for a longer range, right? That is the meaning of it. Now, if you take Gaurish, diamond is crystalline, right? Now, if you see this carefully, right? So what you can do here is, now I'm going to take in detail anisotropy, as I told you. So all of you, please see this information carefully. Please see this. Saniha, I have not explained it yet. I am discussing it now, Saniha. I'm discussing it now. It is amorphous, Vismay. You see both the images carefully, students. It's a, yes, Pranav. It's a image from your textbook. Please see this carefully and keep me posted on the chat. What do you feel here? What do you feel is happening here? Jagdish, I have not explained anisotropy. Don't worry about it. I'm yet to explain it. Yes? Very good, Srishti. So what I am trying to say here is, I got all your messages. Very good. I'm happy you are able to understand this. So what I'm trying to say here, students, is you see this particular thing first. So there is a regular arrangement of particles. There's a regular arrangement of particles. So the property, if you measure, now I'll write the definition first. The definition says physical properties when measured in different direction changes. In different direction changes. Which physical properties I'm talking about? I'm talking about thermal expansion. Then I'm talking about refractive index. All of you are aware of this, right? So I'm talking about, what I'm trying to say here is, if I try to measure thermal expansion or refractive index in this direction, let's say refractive index in this direction comes out to be X. And if I try to measure same in this direction, it comes out to be Y. That means in crystalline solids, they are anisotropic. That means when you measure physical properties in different direction, their value will change. Why their value will change? Because the direction is changing, right? Particles are arranged in a definite direction. So direction is changing. So property will change, right? Yes, Veerbhadra, your messages are visible, right? Now, one more important thing here, I'm yet not finished explaining. Please pay attention. Second thing, if you see here, the particles here, if you measure refractive index here, if it comes out to be X, here also refractive index will come out to be X. That means on changing the direction, physical property will remain same. Therefore, it is called isotropic. Iso means same. Iso means same. So if physical properties like refractive index on changing the direction remains same, then we say it is isotropic nature. Whereas if it changes, then we say it is anisotropic. Yes, the definition of anisotropic and isotropic, is it clear? Yes, Veerbhadra, I'll do that. All right. So why do they remain same? I'll answer that also. Srishti, see here again. See here again. Why does that happen? I'll answer that. So see, when you have arranged particles in a definite pattern, let's say this is the pattern of the particles, right? So let's say force of attraction, here is something, right? There is some force, right? When you change the direction, right? When you change, not just force, I'm just telling about the attractive nature. When you change the direction, the force or the intermolecular attraction might not change. The property will change because attractive forces in the different directions may not be same, right? So if you change the direction, it will happen because all particles are changing, right? But in this case, why it does not happen is, let us say it was arranged like this, right? Particles. If you changed it, it became like this, right? And let us take one more. it was this. And here, let us take this, right? You can see this. Now, what I'm trying to say here, students, is when you change the direction in amorphous solid, the number of particles in the downward direction will become upward, and the number of particles in the upward direction will become downward. So net effect will cancel out, right? Effectively, there will be no change in the direction. If the number of particles in this direction were 5, right? And when they change their direction in this direction, right? 5 particles, the other 5 particles which were like this will also become like this. So 5 particles have become from right to left, and 5 particles have become from left to right. So effectively, the change in direction towards left and towards right is equal. Therefore, property will not change. It will remain same, right? So I hope it is clear now, Shahana. Since in anisotropic, the number of particles which will change from right to left will be equal to number of particles which will change from left to right will be equal. Therefore, the properties will not change. Whereas in crystalline, it is not the case. The number of particles in one direction will not be same as the number of particles in other direction, right? So this is how it happens. I hope it is clear. Crystalline solids are anisotropic. It's very easy to remember. How do we remember it? Iso means same, right? Iso means same, right? So Karthik, isotropic, I'm explaining again, Karthik. So if you take isotropic, particles are sometimes like this, randomly they are arranged. So when you change the direction of whole solid, the number of particles towards right were 5. Now after changing the direction, they will become towards left 5. But the some particles 5 were towards left will now also become towards right. So the change in the first case will be balanced by change in the other case. So therefore, net effect will be 0, right? So Banshri, I have already explained why amorphous is isotropic, because amorphous do not have fixed direction. That is the reason, right? Now let's move ahead. So we have some questions here. Let me tell you the rules of answering the question here. We will raise a poll question here. You will see 4 options. You need to answer it on the poll. So as you read here the question, do not worry if you can't answer this. If you ask me personally, you have to by heart the examples of all. It is not easy to answer them, right? So first question is, amorphous solids can also be called as, one or more than one can be correct. So if it is more than one correct, then you raise option E. So you'll not see option E there. You can answer on chat E. If you feel E is correct, if you feel A is correct, answer A on the poll. If you feel B is correct, answer B on the poll. If you feel more than one correct answers are there, then you answer E on the poll, right? So you can see poll in front of all of you. Start answering, students. There is no judging here. We are not here to judge you. We are just asking you to answer. When you try, you will learn. That is the most important part here, right? So you can start answering your answers. So if you feel it is A, answer A. If you feel it is B, answer B. If you feel it is C, answer C. If you feel it is D, answer D. All right. So I have started receiving answers here, but still I see many of you have not answered. Students, please go ahead. Do not hesitate and answer this question. All right. So I can see many of you are answering correctly here. Very good. I still need to see many of you are answering. Guys, go ahead, please make it fast. Give your answer. Don't worry about the results. We are here to learn. And that's the most important part. Chirag, you can answer on the chat, beta. No problem. I can understand that. Right. So students, we are going to end this poll in another 10 seconds. So if you have not answered on the poll or chat, please answer fast. We are seeing your answers on the both poll as well as the chat. All right, so let's try to end this poll on a count of 3. Chetan, we are very confident. I like that. So we'll end it on a count of 3, 2, 1, now. So students, as all of you can see, at least on the poll, you can see at least on the poll, many of you have answered A, right? Many of you have answered A. Now let us discuss its answer, right? So first thing is, are they pseudos? Are amorphous solids called pseudosolids? Yes, they are called pseudosolids. I'll give you the reason why, right? Are they true solids? No. Crystalline solids are true solids. This question can be asked in CET as well as second PU board. Any of these two. It can be asked in any of these two, right? Now, are they called supercooled liquids? Yes, both A and C are correct. So that means your answer is E here. Both A and C are correct option. They are called pseudosolids as well as supercooled liquids. Now, why do we say them as supercooled liquid? The reason for this is very important. So please see the reason carefully. Yes, please see the reason carefully. The reason for that is they have tendency to flow. Why they are called liquids? Because they have tendency to flow. They flow like liquids, they flow. Therefore, they are called supercooled liquids. Why they are compared to liquids? Because they can flow. Now, you must be wondering how solids flow. I'll give you one very beautiful example, right? If you get a chance, nowadays due to corona effect, nobody will get a chance. But if you get a chance, you go and visit some very 50, 60 years old building. So if you go to some 60 years old building, whose doors are made up of glass, you will observe the 50-year-old glass will become thin at the top and thick at the bottom. So that glass in 50-year-old building will be thin at the top but very thick at the bottom. Why is it so? Because with the time over the years, the glass has flown down from top to bottom. So glass has a tendency to flow, but very slowly, right? Now, why it flow very slowly? Because it has high viscosity. High viscosity. So this is the property about glass. This is the property about glass, and glass is a amorphous solid. Glass is a amorphous solid, right? So I hope this supercooled liquid is clear to everyone. Yes? This supercooled liquid is clear to everyone? I gave, oh. No, still you have a chance here. You have a chance here, right? Now, let's answer the second question now. Let's answer the second question now. Yes, those who are raising hands, please answer a doubt on the chat and try to answer the next question. Again, I'm telling you, same process. If you feel more than one correct, answer E on chat. If you feel more than one correct, answer E on the chat. Right? So start voting, students. Quickly. A flood in whole Karnataka by your votes. Please vote fast. What about mirror? Good question. Mirror is not just a piece of glass, right? There's a coating in mirror. What is the formula of plastic? That you need to figure out, man. If you feel the answer is A, vote A. If you feel answer is B, vote B. C, D, D. Yes, Pooja, that can happen. I will discuss that process also, Pooja. Don't worry about it. All right, students, we are going to close the voting on a count of 3. So if you have not voting at all, please vote it fast. If you have not voted at all, please vote it fast. We are going to end the voting on a count of 3, 2, 1 now. Right? So you can see the correct answer here is, many of you have voted C though. Glass is definitely the correct answer, right? Now, the correct answer is C and D both. Plastic is also a pseudo solid. Plastic is also a pseudo solid. Plastic is also a pseudo solid, right? Plastic is also a pseudo solid, right? Now, Tamanna, because glass flows with the time, over the many years, glass will flow slowly, so that glass at the top will be thin and the glass at the bottom will become thick, right? Now, this is plastic is also pseudo solid, right? The same process which I said you for glass also happens with plastic, right? Ionic solids are crystalline, Mansi. You are right. Pradeep, is not only the formula of plastic. Plastic is a polymer. It can be a formula of polythene, basically. It's a form, I have told you in hydrocarbons, plastic is polythene, basically, right? So there are many formulas. Samir, I told you, if you can't choose both, you can choose E. If more than one correct are possible, you answer E, right? Now let's go ahead with the next concept. Yes, this is your homework, students. This is your homework. You need to classify the followings as amorphous and crystalline solids. 1 mark question can be asked from this, asking whether it is amorphous or crystalline, right? This is your homework. Ankita, pseudo solids. Plastic is also a pseudo solid because plastic also has a tendency to flow at a particular temperature. So therefore, plastic is also called pseudo solid, right? So yes, Vismay, these are there in textbook as well. Also, remember these examples because this is are present in textbook. Anything which is in textbook is relevant for your CET, for your second PU, for your JE, for your NEET, all the exams. Everything which is there in textbook, it is important, right? Now, let's move ahead. Right? This is the answer. Right? Now, this is also your homework. Right? These are the questions which usually comes in boards, right? Define the term amorphous, give few example of amorphous solids. This can be a 1 mark question you can get in your boards. Now, refractive index of a solid is observed to have same value in all the direction. Comment on the nature of the solid, that means which solid it is and how it will show the cleavage property. So try to answer this as homework. I'll upload it on your drive, right? Now, let me take the next classification. That is the most important. I will probably discuss it for another 5 minutes. Then we'll go for our quiz round, right? So see this carefully. Classification on the basis of intermolecular force or bond. That means between two molecules, what are the forces present, right? Based on that, we can classify our solids as molecular solids, ionic solids, metallic solids, covalent solids. So molecular solids can be classified into further 3 categories: non-polar, polar, and hydrogen bonded. They are further classified into 3 categories, right? Now, ionic solids, you already know they are made up of ions, metallic solids, and covalent solids. Now, in textbook, there is a table which mentions all these 4 together, right? We will discuss all 4 of them separately. Now, is this topic important for which exams? It is important for your second PU plus NEET. JEE usually don't ask questions on this, right? Now let's move ahead with the first classification of molecular solids. Now, the first thing that I will say, they are made up of molecules. They are made up of molecules. These solids are made up of molecules, right? I have mentioned their CET also. They are important for CET also. You can see previous year questions. You'll get question from this in CET also. Now, you can see this. They are made up of molecules. Molecules are the constituent particles of molecular solids. That means molecular solids are made up of molecules. What is molecule? Molecule is group of atoms. Molecule is group of atoms, right? Now, we classify them into further three categories. As I told you, the first category here, students, is non-polar molecular solids. Why? Because they are made up of non-polar molecules. I hope you remember this. What are non-polar molecules? Non-polar molecules are the molecules whose dipole moment is zero. Dipole moment should be zero, right? Okay, Bhumika, we'll do that. Yes. So now, if you see that, they are made up of non-polar molecules. I'll give you example. Non-polar molecules like H2. If you take H and H, electronegativity of hydrogen is same as electronegativity of hydrogen. So therefore, dipole moment is zero. So when two atoms are same in a molecule, then its dipole moment is zero. It is called non-polar molecule, right? Similarly, Cl2, I2. I had given you this example in the beginning of the class. I2 forms a non-polar molecular solid. Now let me give you an example. If you take iodine here, one molecule, take iodine here, another molecule. Now the nucleus will have positive charge here, electron will have negative charge here. So the nucleus of this will attract the electron of this, right? So there will be some force of attraction between this. That force of attraction is called van der Waals force, right? So these two molecules are held together. They are attracted to each other by which force? Van der Waals force, right? So they are held together by weak dispersion forces or London forces. So force of attraction between them is very, very weak because the molecules are non-polar. Important, they are low melting points. They are having low melting points, whereas they are present in usually liquid gaseous state at room temperature and pressure. So usually when you take them at room temperature, they are either liquids or gaseous state. Example, iodine will become gaseous as soon as you open it. But at a low temperature, iodine is solid, right? So let me summarize. They are made up of non-polar molecules. What are non-polar molecules? Where the two atoms of the molecule is same, they are called non-polar. Now, what is the force of attraction between two molecules? Weak van der Waals force, which is also called dispersion force or London force. Now, they have low melting point. Why they have low melting point? Because the force of attraction is low force of action, right? Now, they are usually liquid or gaseous at room temperature, right? Now, the next classification of molecular solids, this is our last topic for today, is polar molecular solid. So, polar molecular solid is made up of polar molecules. So, what will be your polar molecules? Where dipole moment is not equal to zero. That means if you have a two atom, atom A should not be equal to atom B. Example, HCl, hydrogen is not same as Cl. So it is a polar molecule. Now, which forces exist between them? Let us take the example. If I take HCl1 molecule, among hydrogen and chlorine, which is more electronegative? Among hydrogen and chlorine, which is more electronegative? Among hydrogen and chlorine, which is more electronegative? Which is more electronegative among hydrogen and chlorine? Chlorine, yes. So chlorine is more electronegative. It will withdraw electron towards itself. Therefore, chlorine will get negative charge. Hydrogen will get positive charge. This will now act as dipole. Why dipole? Because there is a positive pole and negative pole, two poles, therefore dipole. Now, if you take another molecule of HCl, similarly, this chlorine will become delta minus. This will become delta plus. Now, between this H plus and Cl minus, there is a force of attraction. H plus and Cl minus, there is a force of attraction. So this is a force of attraction between two dipole. Therefore, it is known as dipole-dipole interaction. So which force is present here? Dipole-dipole interaction. Which force is present here? Dipole-dipole interaction, right? So that is what we have mentioned here. They are stronger force. Since the force is strong, right, the melting points are higher than those of non-polar molecular solids. So their melting point is higher because dipole-dipole force of attraction is stronger than van der Waals force of attraction. Most of these are gases or liquids at room temperature. They are soft and do not conduct electricity. They are soft and they do not conduct electricity. I think I'll stop here. I'll do some quizzes. So students, if you have any doubt till here, please ask. If you have any doubt till here, students, please ask. I have given you the homework for today's class. If you have any doubt till here, please ask. Solids, we talk about usually melting point, Karthik. So therefore, we don't talk about their boiling point usually. But even if you measure, it will not be same because the forces is not same, right? Suraj, HCl conduct electricity in solution, but in gaseous state, HCl will not conduct electricity, right? Why they are non-conducting? Because at room temperature, they are gases, right? Usually. When you make their solution, like HCl, if you make solution, it will form H plus and Cl minus ion, then it will conduct electricity. But in gaseous state, ions are not possible, therefore they cannot conduct electricity, right? Go back. Okay. Why glass is amorphous? Yes, glass is amorphous. I've already given the reason for that. More example of polar molecules, Karthik. I hope you have taken the screenshot. More example of polar molecules, you can take SO2, you can take HBr, BRH, same thing will happen. You can take HF, same thing will happen. All these are same examples, right? It's not like why soft things are non-conductors. Anything can be a non-conductor, right? So anything can be a... Ashutosh, you can go ahead with your doubts. So the doubts I will take after 8:30. You can stay back. Now I have few questions for you to answer. One, a science-based, one, a cricket-based. So those who are cricket lovers can answer this. So my first question comes here for you, right? If you really interested, those who have doubts regarding the topic, I will answer it at 8:30. So let me take it here. If you know the answer, you can answer on the poll. It will definitely increase our general knowledge. Yes. Yes. Poll will come on your screen now. Just a minute. Yeah, you can start answering the poll. Which of the following is correct? I hope you are also there, Chandan, and you know this. The people who don't like cricket, there is another poll for you. Don't worry about it. That will check your science. That will check your science. All right, students, go ahead and check how much you know about it. Prashant, football. How can you say football, Prashant? All right, so we'll end it. I can understand that. Now let's end it on a count of 3 so that we can discuss it and move ahead. So on a count of 3, 2, 1, I'm ending it now. So you can see many of you have voted D because maybe you are a Brian Lara fans, but the correct answer is C here. C is correct. Alistair Cook in 2006 in Nagpur has made a century against India. Then I don't exactly remember the year. It was in England. When India visited England, there he scored a century in second innings of the test match. Right? Yes, many of you have told the right answer. Yeah. Google. Yeah. I can see that. The people here are Googling here. Good. But but remember one thing, how much you will Google. Cool. So if you are answering with Google, then it's not going to help you, right? Chalo, let's take the next one. It's a science one. So read the question carefully. Don't Google if possible. Don't Google. Don't Google if possible. Right? If you fill a glass to the brim with ice water, that means your glass has water and it also has some cubes of ice. You have filled it to the brim. What will happen when the ice melts? Glass will overflow. Water level remains unchanged. Water level decreases. Water level decreases. The last option, I think it's not visible over here. I'll read it out. You will never find out what happened, as you will drink the water or you will walk away. Samruddha, you are still Googling it. So before you could even find, you will either drink it or you will walk away before anything could happen. So you can start voting your answers. It's a logical science question, by the way. Yeah, I saw that. So before anything happened, you walked away. What will happen here? Yes, go ahead. If you want to say anything on this, please let me know. I'll unmute you. You can speak about it. That's completely fine for me. Right. So we are going to end this. It should not take that much time. It's not requiring any concept. So let's, Suraj is saying it will overflow. Let's end out of. Wow. Many of you have said water will overflow. The correct answer here is water level in glass will decrease. Water will not overflow. Water level will decrease. I'll do that, Jagdish, next time. Water level will decrease. Why? Because we know density of ice is less than density of water. So ice flows on the surface of water. When ice melts to water liquid, the density will increase. And when density is increased, mass is constant, volume will decrease. Therefore, the level of water in the glass has to decrease because the overall volume will decrease, right? Shreya, I have already answered that. When density of ice is less than water, when ice gets converted into water, its density will increase, but mass is constant. If density increases, volume of the level of water will decrease. Yes, practically it is possible, Pushpa. You can go home and try it. I've already done it. When I was in school, I used to do all this. Right. So this is how it works. I hope you are happy. You're not happy with this. Yes, Visma, you can talk to me over call at 9 p.m. Pooja, it will happen. You can try. I have already done it when I was in school. Right. So this is all about today's class. All of you can leave. If you have any doubts, you can ask here. Yes, Ashutosh, you can do that. But it will not be a exact relationship. Those who have any doubts can stay back. Others can leave. Accordingly, I'll show the slides and clear the doubts. Prashant, next time I follow football also. Next time I'll definitely help you. Next time I'll do that.